Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of your Astraordinary Coffee Chats. I'm Davide di Censo.
I'm Matteo Barbarossa.
And we are the founders of Astra Coffee. And we're here to make your cup of coffee extraordinary. Today, Matteo, I would love for you to explain what this object is and how can we prepare a great coffee using the French press.
Yeah, so the French press is a very nice object. It has a particular story. It's funny but true. The French press actually was invented by an Italian guy. So
Wait. We call this the French press, but it was invented by an Italian guy.
Yeah, this version, the more modern version, it was invented by an Italian guy, Attilio Calimani, back in 1929. So why French? Because the very first version of this kind of French press was invented by two Frenchmen, Mr. Mayer and Mr. Delforge, back in 1892. So this is the reason why it's called French press. But this one, it was invented by an Italian. But let's say that it's French press. Okay, let's call it French
That's
press.
That's what we know it.
Yeah,
that's the name we know it with.
That's the name we know it. Let's stick to that.
Great.
Let's stick to that. So, yeah, and it's a pretty easy way to prepare coffee, and could lead to great cups.
Great. This is a pretty straightforward machine, but let's talk exactly about how do you prepare it, how do you pack this machine, how much coffee, how much water, temperature of the water, and what kind of extraction this is.
Yeah, so it's this is an infusion method, okay? So practically we extract coffee while coffee is steeping into the water. We add coffee, we add water, and more or less we wait and some magic happens, okay? But how we create the magic into the French press, okay? So first thing that you have to in your mind is that, of course, even for this method, you want to use filtered water. You don't want to use just tapped water. Avoid that.
Water.
Okay. First thing. Second thing is having in mind that the right ratio is for a smooth regular cup of coffee is 60 grams for a liter.
Okay, 60 grams of ground coffee per liter of
liter.
hot water.
Yeah. If you want a strong but more bitter cup, you can use 75 grams for a liter of coffee.
Okay.
So this is more or less the two proportion. If you want a weaker cup, you can use 50 grams for a liter.
Okay.
Cool. So let's stay with the 60 grams for the liter. And this means that you can use one heaping tablespoon, okay, per cup. Per cup has 200 milliliters of water.
This is a good approximation for who doesn't have a scale or just doesn't want to spend too much time in the morning really measuring things out in the most scientific way.
Yeah, totally. Not taking out the calc and do the calculation. So we're not in a math test. We're not asking you nothing. You just take a big heaping tablespoon, put your coffee in, and 200 milliliters of water. That is around 1 mug of water.
Okay, great. So in this method we talked about before about the contact time of water with the coffee. It's really where the magic happens and how the coffee is extracted. So in this case, the water stays in contact with the coffee the whole time, right?
Yes. The water stays in contact with the coffee all time. And the extraction power of the water is in the hotness of the water. So rely on that. But how to do that in a perfect way? We want to put the coffee first and then add the water. The right temperature for the water is 194 Fahrenheit degrees. This is the right temperature for the water that you want to use for your cup. If you want to use hotter water maybe could lead to over-extraction of the coffee.
Cool.
And a little bit of burned aromas that you don't want to have.
So as usual, we don't want to bring the water to boil and then add it right away. Yeah. If we don't have a water kettle with a temperature regulation, we can bring it to boil and then wait 20 seconds or so to cool it down.
Half minute to cool it down a bit, and then you can add it.
Great.
Okay, and that's it. So pour the water, and let it rest for 4 minutes.
And this is letting it rest with the plunger up like this.
Yes, with the plunger up like this. Okay, so you put the coffee, then you add the water. But I will suggest to take out the plunger and wait in this way. Why? After 4 minutes, the coffee will create a crust on the very top of the water. And in order to avoid final sludge, we take out the crust, we decrust the coffee with a spoon. Okay? So once the coffee is decrusted, we wait other 4 minutes.
Okay.
And then we put the plunger in and gently push the coffee. Press it down. Why gently? And not, I'm a macho man, I want to push it down. No, we don't want to do that, okay, in this particular occasion. We want to push it down gently because this will separate better the liquid part of the coffee from the coffee particle and do not create turbulence into the water.
Right, so we don't want to have any of the sediments somehow getting through the plunger into the part that we will drink.
Yes, absolutely. This is super correct, okay? Otherwise, when you drink your coffee, it feels sandy in your mouth, and you want to avoid this sandy mouthfeel. Okay, so gently pressing the plunge down. This will separate the water from the grounded coffee, and then you're ready to serve.
Fantastic. So something I always wondered is once the coffee is plunged down like this, the water is still in contact with the coffee to a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
Should we then empty this right away into our mugs or separate container? And if there is some left, will that create oversteeping of the coffee?
Yes, this is correct. Will create oversteeping of the coffee. So if you use the right amount of water, so you'll be able to serve all of your friends, all of your family.
And have this be empty.
And this will be empty.
Great. So measuring the water is really important, just not leaving it there for longer than needed.
Yeah.
Great. So just to summarize, we talked about 60 grams of coffee per liter of water. So it's about 1 heaping tablespoon per cup of water.
Yes.
And you can use your mug if it's similar to a cup. And then we leave it for 4 minutes, decrust the top, leave it for 4 more minutes, set the plunger, press it down, and serve the coffee.
That's
8 minutes and we're ready.
Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Is there anything else we should know about how to make a perfect coffee for this?
Like having a great conversation while you wait these 8 minutes with your friends, with your crash one, with your family, with everybody you want. And
tell them you're about to enjoy an extraordinary cup of coffee.
Yes, totally.
All right. Thank you so much, Matteo. Thank you for being here and sharing your knowledge about French press. And we'll see you again in the next episode of your Astraordinary Coffee Chats. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any questions, post them down here.
And let us know your experience while preparing your coffee with the tips and tricks that we suggested to you.
Also, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button so you can stay in touch.